Well, hello. The way I eat is all about fresh flavors, delicious food, but also kind of just not what the traditional always is. It's not always a meat, potato, and a side. Sometimes it is something like this beautiful and delicious white bean salad. It's one of my favorite things. I have this thing. I love white beans, especially the giant white beans. So these are giant Greek white beans, and you can see they kind of look like a lima. But then once I take these and I soak them overnight, you get these beautiful, big, giant beans. So these are gonna be cooked, they're gonna be marinated then, they're gonna have tons of flavor with herbs, onion and garlic, a little bit of fresh zucchini and arugula. This is a delicious salad that comes together, that can be served on its own, totally delicious. Also, if you're like me and like to eat little bits and pieces of everything, it's great with fish, it's great with chicken. You can put it on the table as a side dish, it is a standalone, and it's one of my favorite things. So let's make it, because it's pretty simple. So we took these dried beans, overnight I soaked them, just covered them with water, cold water, let them soak overnight. If it's really warm or if it's during the summer and it gets hot or the house isn't, I will put them in the fridge because you don't want them to be hot. Sometimes it could cause them to sprout or just slightly ferment and you don't want that. So they've soaked, you can see they are completely like, I'm gonna say double if not triple the size of what they start out at. So now what I'm gonna do is we're gonna kind of get ready to cook these, and I wanna have some aromatics with them. Just to slightly flavor them, the beginning of flavor, we're gonna get a whole punch of flavor after they cook. So in the pot of boiling water, I'm gonna add a whole sprig of rosemary. It is fresh rosemary, so you get all those essential oils. It just smells delicious. I'm gonna do a sprig of sage. I love a good sage. These are kind of just like great all-purpose herbs. During the summer, and you can go pick them fresh from the garden, and then some fresh bay leaves. Now I have a bay plant. No, they are not hardy here. I bring it in over the winter. They're so easy, but then it allows me to use fresh bay leaves, which I think have so much more flavor than the dried ones that have been sitting in the store for like 5 years or who knows how long, or the ones in the back of your cabinet that are so brittle and they're gray. No, fresh bay. You can also buy it in the store in the spice aisle, or if every so often, you get some good, you can just use it when you buy it dried in the spice aisle. Don't let it sit forever. So I'm gonna put 4 bay leaves. I'm gonna put that rosemary and that sage. I'm gonna pop them right into my boiling water. And now I'm gonna add I turned it down so it wouldn't be a hard boil. And now I'm gonna add my lima beans. I'm gonna bring it, they're not limas, they're white beans, but you know what I mean. This is what happens when I try to explain things. Then that word gets stuck in my head, but you know what I mean. So the white beans are in there. I'm gonna bring it back to a boil. We're gonna let it cook. We're gonna let those aromatics really come into there. And then we're gonna put together an even better marinade for them. This is gonna pull together into an amazing salad. And I think you're gonna love it. That's always the point, good food. The beans have cooked. I just pulled them out so they can drain. I set them on a plate. They're gonna cool and drain slightly, but you can see they're kind of hot. They're plump, they're creamy. So, the best way sometimes to check is just to taste them, because depending on the age, they can always vary on the cooking time. So I have some olive oil and quite a bit of it, because it's like the dressing, it is the marinade, it is everything. And I have it kind of heating up over low heat right here. And I'm gonna get a few things ready for it. So again, we're kind of playing up the aromatics. I'm cutting the end off, the root end off of an onion. I cut the top off, and I wanna slice it, kind of pull the pole so you get some nice slices, because this is all about now just like upping the flavors, giving it that good crunch and like hit of flavor, so you really get it with every bite. And that to me is the best part of these, kind of like a marinated bean salad, names, whatever. So I have this heated up, and what we're gonna do is just slowly heating up. I'm gonna add a few chili flakes. Now, we're not making it spicy. What we're doing is we're gonna make it so it kind of brings out the flavors of everything, kind of opens up the palate, kind of just like gives you that first hit of flavor. Then we're gonna add some salt. This is now, we have not salted the beans, because sometimes when you salt beans as they're cooking, they get kind of tough and they don't really cook. So I'm adding a good dose of salt, because look at all the beans that we cooked. A little bit of black pepper. I'm already smelling a little bit of that warm olive oil, which is what I love. We're gonna add in this onion, which I'm kind of just like slightly gonna break it, but as it kind of warms in the oil and kind of cooks, it's gonna kind of open up and it's gonna soften. Along with that, we are gonna add another sprig of our rosemary. We're gonna add a few more of our bay leaves, because they're gonna kind of heat up in the oil, and that's what brings out those essential oils, which is what's really important here. We're gonna add some kind of just like rough chopped garlic. You know, I don't mind the pieces here because they're gonna really soften in that oil. And again, a little bit of sage. Now I wanna be able to pull it out, so I like to keep it kind of on the stem, then it's a lot easier to pull out. So this is all just gonna sit here. It's gonna just slowly heat up in the oil. We're gonna slowly soften it and cook it. Already it smells amazing. You get the herbs, you get the garlic and the onion. We're gonna let this cook, soften. We're gonna bring it together with the limas, with some fresh flavors. You're gonna like this. I'm excited. So the onions have cooked, they're softened, they were just beginning to get kind of golden and break down. And you can kind of see all those aromatics. Like at this point, I'm just gonna take them out because, you know, they kind of get like that sogginess, you don't really need them. The sage actually almost fries, so you could kind of serve it on top, almost as like a fried sage, which there ain't nothing wrong with that. And so the bay leaves too, they can be really hard. Obviously, you don't want to necessarily serve them because they can kind of hurt and get caught in the throat. So then you just have her left with this flavor of garlic and herbs. So delicious. I pulled out the bay leaves, the sage, the rosemary that I had in the beans. A lot of the rosemary actually went into the beans, which I love. I let them drain. Now you're gonna get some pieces that kind of like break open, which is totally fine. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna let them kind of like sit and marinate just a little bit here. Look at that deliciousness. You get those big, plump, white beans. You get all those flavors. The olive oil is now just gonna kind of soak into them because they're still warm. And when they're warm, they really receive the flavors, they receive that oil. And that to me is the best part of this, is to really kind of just get everything, to flavor it. Oh, I know I keep smelling, you guys can't, but man, this just smells delicious. So with this, I am kind of making some ribbons of zucchini, which is to me a great way to have a fresh zucchini. Yeah, it's raw, but when they're small and they're just, these are kind of when they're young and they don't get too seedy, which the thing when you're growing zucchini, if you see them, pick them because the next day they're gonna be the size of a boat and then you're gonna not know what to do other than make like bread or cake. So I just made ribbons with kind of just a straight side vegetable peeler, and you can kind of just make those big ribbons, just be careful with your hand. But look how they just kind of work into it, and you get some of that fresh flavor, the fresh green, and now, to kind of just make that even better, I'm all about upping that. Fresh arugula. I love the pepperiness of arugula. I love how it has that good crunch and that effect, but it also kind of stands up when you're putting it with something warm. So the best part about this to me is it can be served warm, it can be served room temperature. It's great on just like platters if you're gonna have different types of salads, or if you're gonna have kind of a buffet a little bit. It's one of those things that can be served in so many ways, and that's what I love. You get all the flavors throughout. Look at the arugula, look at the fresh, like the beans. Everything just kind of has that beautiful, fresh quality to it. So we're gonna put it in a bowl to serve it. And this is the best part. You can make this a day ahead. It's just gonna soak in more of that flavor. I'd put like a drizzle of fresh olive oil though on it right before you serve it, just so you kind of get that good richness with it. You get the, look at those colors and the flavors. That's exactly what I want. You get all that beautiful, delicious, and then to finish it off, which I think you need to do, because we all need that little bit of like gilding the lily, some fresh Parmesan shards. You can just like slice it on top. You can just roast it on top. You can do whatever you want. And then I want a little bit of lemon zest. I think the lemon zest just kind of wakes everything up. It's one of those things that when you use it, you're not gonna regret it. It wakes up your taste buds. It kind of just brings the flavor out of so many things, especially in beans. It gives you kind of that fresh, just like hit of good kind of raw flavor. And you can just put that on top. Let's kind of work it in a little bit. Just really zest it in there. And instantly, that's what you smell. And I wanted to do just a little bit of the juice. I don't want it to be like strong, but to give you a little bit. Look at that. To me, anytime you can add a fresh kind of like citrus at the end, you can add a fresh flavor that will just wake everything up. That's what you want. So guys, for your sake, of course, I will try it. What I love, without the oil and the seasoning and the salt, those spices and aromatics we put into it, the beans wouldn't have as much flavor. But they've really soaked it in. They've mixed with the citrus, with the onion, with the garlic, with the arugula, which gives you that pepperiness and that crunch and the freshness. This is my type of food. You guys always ask, what do I eat? What do I do? This is what I eat. I love fresh, I love bold flavors, but good crunch and just a lot of nutrition. You're getting the protein in the beans, you're getting the greens. This is good, and I'm excited for you to try this. So, as always, what do I hope you do? I hope you share this video around, not just because it helps me, which it does, but it helps so many people see how easy, fun, and simple good food is to make, and how if I can do it, I know you all can do it too. It is super simple, it is fun, and it makes the world go round to have good, delicious food. So, check my website, wiseguide.com, for this recipe, so many other recipes. Hang out there, that's where I am, or I'm in the garden. So, try it, enjoy it, share it, that's the point of food, and until next time, I'm gonna go work in the garden.